Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, if that's the case where you are. Thank you very much for coming on board for this very special edition of an APIC presentation. There's something big coming to APIC. Today is a very special day, and thank you very much for coming on board. Lots of people are coming on board. I'd like to welcome Jeff Gosper from our academic team, who is giving us a special presentation about what is so special and which is coming up. I'd also like to welcome Harmeet Gill, Country Manager for India, and we also have other panelists, Sapna Tapalia, I think, and Ambuj Bala. So thank you very much for coming on board. This session is being recorded, and I would like to welcome everyone on board for this session. First of all, I just want to take you through a few bits and pieces about Education Centre of Australia. And before I forget, we do have a Q&A section which is available for all participants for you to ask questions about our fun and exciting items which are available to you. Q&A, and Ambuj will be monitoring the Q&A, and we will pause throughout the session to answer your valuable questions. So a little bit about ECA before we get into the APIC specific items. So bit of a snapshot. We have got multiple university partners. We have got a 13-year partnership with Victoria University. We commenced a partnership with Swinburne University in 2019, and there's future university partnerships in the pipeline as well. We have got a global presence across the globe. We have got staff in Australia, Brazil, Colombia now, China, in Europe, India. We've got Harmeet from India, so greetings, and Philippines and Nepal. We've got about 1,200 agents, and we've got about 215 clicking over now with the session that we have here. Student diversity, so we've got students from over 50 different nationalities, which gives students a genuine international experience. Student outcomes across ECA, we've got about 50,000 graduates to date, 1,800 internships, which we organised in the year leading up to the initial COVID period. Multiple campuses, so with APIC, we've got campuses in Sydney, in Parramatta, Melbourne and Brisbane. We also have the Swinburne campus in Western Sydney. We also have Victoria University and also University of Canberra, which will be commencing very soon. We've got a proven track record. We've got consistent growth with about 8,000 students every year, but with the announcements that we have with this webinar, I'm sure that number will grow. We are an end-to-end provider. We do have everything from ELICOS, VET, higher education, as well as professional year programs. ECA Advantage, I'll be talking a little bit about that towards the end, but it's all about the students getting a job. So we'll be talking, Jeff and I, quite a bit about employment outcomes for our new and exciting developments which are coming up. So I will pass over to Jeff for his intro. Oh, we've given it away. There we are.
Absolutely. So thanks, Stefan. And this is something that we've been working on at APIC for, I must say, it's almost 2 years now, and that's how long it takes to develop a quality course in Australia and get it passed, get all the government approvals. And as of today, we can actually start to talk about them. And these are about our new courses in IT. And so I will be detailing what the courses are and how we're going about it, and a little bit about the APIC difference. And I honestly believe there is a difference. So I'm the Associate Dean at APIC. I was brought in to help build the IT courses that we're going to be talking about today. I was imminently involved in the process of development and rolling them out, and now ultimately releasing them and getting students into them. So we can, first couple of slides, so Stefan, if you want to step through, I'm going to talk about IT as an area of, as a career, as an industry. I'm focusing on IT in Australia, but ultimately this reflects what's going on in various countries around the world to larger and lesser extents. But basically, these graphs show the amount of industry there is in the ICT sector. So that's information and communications technology, which is often just abbreviated IT. Communications is like a subset or a slight variation of IT as well. But as this graph shows, in the last few years, we've had a massive growth. And I'm going to show you, this is even projected to go further and further. So the IT industry in Australia and globally is big. It's getting bigger, and I'll show you some more slides on that. So I just want to put that into context. It's a growth area. In terms of, in terms of Australia and the job market and people looking for opportunities to work in this area, this is a wonderful graph I've been using for a number of years, and it's been developing over the years. The graph on the right, which is the blue graph, the black line, is ITC as a profession and how many people are getting jobs and becoming professionals in that area. And that is just growing enormously. There are ups and downs depending on the dot-com boost, boom and bust, and up and down, but overall up, up, up. The brown line is Australia's average employment in all areas. So relative to the growth that's happening in Australia across the sector, whether it be engineering, retail, education, whatever, IT is growing at about 3 to 4 times the rate at which the employment opportunities in other areas are. There's always something new going on. I've got a couple of new slides in a minute, but this one's about the migration, how we need jobs in the IT sector, be it in security, in networking, in systems development, in a whole lot of different areas. And this is just some recent ones. We've just added some new occupations to the what they call the priority list for immigration, which reflects the shortage of people in Australia. So it's a great area of growth in the last few years. And the next slide, we'll look at also, the sector. This is what the sector's doing. This is a recent report from what's called the National Industries Insights report about where is the industry at the moment in the IT industry and the ICT industry. The 5 biggest occupation areas are computer network professionals, software applications, ITC, business and systems analysis, databases, and management and organization analysis. And I'll show you today how the APIC courses that we're designing align with all of those. I also want to just raise, I think the circle in the green color there provides that there's a lot of skills that the students need to do. So IT and getting a job is not just about knowledge, knowing what to do and how to do it. It's about going in there and doing it. I'm going to show you the APIC difference and how we are really training people for the future. And there's one more slide to round this all off. Where is this all heading? And these are the projections from the what's called Deloitte's and the Australian Computing Society, which do digital pulse survey and the digital pulse projections over the last few years, looking forward to the next few years. What's going to happen in IT in the next few years? And I draw your attention to the bar charts on the left, particularly the second one. ICT technical and professionals are predicted to skyrocket over the next 4 years. And so this is an area which is growing immensely, 4 to 5 to 6 times faster than the national average, and it's still going to keep on growing in the future. So IT is an area Australia needs more professionals, which means more qualified people, which means more graduates. And so that puts a context to what I'm going to talk about. So the next slide then.
Yeah, pretty exciting stuff there, Jeff. And just a friendly reminder to everyone that we do have the Q&A open. So if you do have any questions along the way, please use the Q&A and we'll be monitoring that along the way and answer your questions progressively throughout the session.
Absolutely. So this is our new announcement. We've got 2 courses that we're going to be announcing today. The first is a Bachelor of Information Technology, and we're going to show you that this one is aligned with one of the real areas in demand. It's been fully CRI-cost. As of today, we can talk about it. There's been what the government likes to call a moratorium on us talking about it for the last X number of months that it's been approved, but going through the registrations and everything like that. This was accredited, about 2 months ago, and it went through with flying colors. Our external examiners or our external appraisers of the course, both multiple professors and associate professors, looked at the course and said, wow, this is a great course. And so we've built a great course. It's fully now accredited by the Australian government, and we'll be releasing it today to be able to take students, and we'll talk more about that very soon. So let's get on to what makes the APIC BIT. Now, this is a complex slide, and I do want to move through it quite slowly. So with the new Bachelor of IT, we've introduced the concept of specializations. And over time, as you'll see later on, and point number 2 there, we will be adding new specializations to the list to cope with changes in the marketplace. The one thing about IT is it's constantly changing, constantly updating, and the fact that we've got specializations and that allows us to be nimble and to also offer what is the students are needing and the niches that they need. So looking more to, say, the diagram, which is the structure of the course, the orange boxes, I suppose they're brown orange boxes. We basically have, like any course, we're going to have a series of foundational units. These are the ones that are going to teach the most basic elements that everybody needs to know if they're going to in any way become a professional in IT, whether that be databases, information systems, how to program, and also communications is really important. So we are embedding communications and professional development into the course, which is an absolutely critical part. And that lays the foundation for what we call our middle tier or intermediate level units, where we start looking at the basics, more advanced topics in infrastructure and IT networking. We're looking at systems analysis and design. Project management is really, really key to having anything in IT, and all people that go out in IT these days need to know certain aspects of project management, and they need to know how to be involved in projects and ultimately run projects themselves. There's also down the bottom there sustainability and ethics, which is a really important part of any course to round out what's the impact that the profession is having. What do we need to do to be sustainable? What do we need to do to have ethical behavior embedded? Then inside the specialization is really where the student gets to show there's a particular area of IT that we are going to embrace. In the first instance, we are going to be in the BIT, we are doing computer networks and security. And that's the big areas for development, and that's the big area for employment. And that's one of the areas that over the years has proved to be one of the biggest employers of students, and students like it, and ultimately they can get jobs and become professionals. So within that, there are things like routing and switching, which is a detailed networking, enterprise network, which is even more detailed. Within this course, we have built into it, if anybody's heard, there is Cisco certifications out in industry, and they basically say, if you're going to be working with network technologies, if you want to be a professional working and doing things in the industry, you really should be implementing this in a Cisco way. on Cisco routers, on Cisco equipment, and we're embedding that into our course. So that's a really important part. So not only are you developing the course, you're developing certification level material. And that's part of the other courses I'm going to be talking about as well. There's some really further extensions in terms of security, IS security and risk management, digital forensics, cyber defense, and ultimately cloud computing, which brings together a whole lot of different areas. These are all modern, these are all relevant, and these are all where students and ultimately graduates will get jobs. Part of the whole design of the course is that we have our capstone applied industry project units, which basically means you tackle a real problem based out of industry, you apply all your knowledge and you build that up and develop something. And I'm a great believer in these capstone units because they enable students to really demonstrate how they can tackle a problem, work through all the issues and actually develop a solution. And so in its whole, that whole course together is a BIT with a specialization in computer networks and security. Behind that, there is what we call a generic BIT. I'm not going to go into the details of it. There are certain, you have to take certain number of advanced students and so on and so forth. I'm not going to go into it, but we're laying the groundwork for introducing more specializations as well. Now, in terms of admissions requirements, Stefan will go through some of the details of this, but for my message is this has exactly the same intake requirements, admissions requirements as our existing Bachelor of Business Information Systems and our existing Bachelor of Business. And I think we're fairly standard in the industry in terms of all those requirements, and I don't think there's anything different there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just chime in here and say we'll be discussing the entry requirements in a very generic level because we do have a very global cross-section of participants on board here. So individual GTE requirements, we'll pass them over to our respective account managers to handle those questions individually outside of this forum as well.
Okay, thanks, Stefan. So the one last point on that one is there is a series of electives in the course and there is the ability for students to get RPL. I'm going to do a little bit of comparison between the Bachelor of Business Information System, which has been running for multiple years at APIC with the BIT in the middle, but basically the RPL or the credit is going to be similar to the BBIS, but it's going to be a little bit different. I'll go into that. So that's where we are. Students progress through the course from the foundational through the intermediate into the advanced, and over time we will develop more specializations that broaden people's scope and enable them to enter into new areas that we haven't even thought of yet. And the thing about IT is that every 4 to 7 years, the curriculum needs to be massively updated in order to do it. So we're designing, and we've designed a course that enables us to adapt and go forward. So that's the BIT. So move on to the next slide. How does the BIT compare to the BBIS? The Bachelor of Business Information System is already existing, it's already running, it's already our most popular course. The students are progressing well, the feedback is fantastic on it. So how does it compare? Well, the way I like to think about it is the Bachelor of Business Information System it's focused, its specialization is already in information systems, or another way of looking at it is sort of business analysis. That's one occupational area that corresponds to that. Whereas the BIT, it focuses in other areas of IT, the more technical side of it. The BBIS is the more business side of it and the business impact with definitely a technical flavor to it. But the BIT enables us to go forward in the more technical areas, and the first launch is in the area of networking and security. The difference is in the number of electives. The BBIS is a slightly more flexible course. It has 8 electives. The BIT has 7 electives. The ramification of this could be if a student is coming from a diploma which is not related to the BBIS, is not related to BIT in any way, they could still get 8 credits, which is 1 year, into the BBIS, whereas they only get 7 credits into the BIT. So it's similar, but not exactly the same. The ACS, the Australian Computer Society, does accredit courses. They have a requirement. They only accredit courses which have been running for some time. Now, our BBIS has been running for some time, and it has been aligned to actually be, or it has been built to be aligned with the ACS accreditation requirements. And we are in the process of discussing the accreditation of the BBIS in terms of the ACS accreditation at the moment, and that is under discussion, and the proposals going into them very, very soon. So we fully expect to meet all the requirements of the ACS. The ACS tends to only accredit big universities and everything, but we think we have the team, the program, the know-how, and the experience now that we firmly believe we will get this accredited, and I can't see any reason why this won't be accredited. For the BIT, we will do the same thing next year. When it's been running a year, when we've got up and running and experience, we will apply to get it. And so, yes, we will have that. We fully expect to have that endorsed next year at the earliest opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm just reminding everyone that we do have the Q&A up and running, and just for Jeff's reference, we are recording this session as well in relation to the ACS accreditation. So, okay, occupational alignment.
Yeah, that's right. So it's worthwhile looking at, if there's areas in demand, or what are the prospects of people who come out of the BIT with a specialization in computer networks and security. What are the areas they can go into? These are the various areas that are touched upon and built upon and detailed within this new course of the BIT, be it security specialist, be it networking and systems engineer, network administrators, analysts, and support engineers. All those are valid and appropriate career pathways for students that graduate with the BIT. Okay, next slide.
Jeff, while we're just on board, there's a question which probably should be answered at this particular point. If the student chooses to study BIT, will they get accreditation of ACS while completing the course? I might just take this one here. There's nothing preventing the student from applying for ACS industry accreditation independently. The direct accreditation is a separate process, which does take some time in terms of the academic resource and those kind of things which Jeff was alluding to earlier.
I think I probably need to clarify and add to that. There is confusion in the market about the role of the ACS. The ACS has two roles in the marketplace. One is to accredit courses of quality, of substance that they believe are developing professionals in IT and the environment and everything is appropriate. That is a course accreditation that's only given to particular institutes that meet particular criteria, like the CPA has done with our Bachelor of Business. That is accredited with the CPA and accounting, and that's a lot of work to get that accreditation. The ACS accredits courses. What people get confused is that the ACS also does skills assessment for potential post-study work visas and other types of visas. That is a separate and different process, okay? That is a process by which you need to map your course against these numbers here, whichever one happens to be the one that you think. If you're wanting to be considered as an ICT security specialist, what have you done? How many units? What units? Where have you studied specialization in IT security? You make an individual case to the ACS, who then assesses your case. Whether or not your course is accredited with the ACS doesn't have a really, really big impact. Obviously, if the course you've done is accredited, that probably gives you a more solid base for an argument, but it is actually based on the units and the units content, rather than the actual course itself. So they are actually two distinct things. And so if the question relates to ACS PR skills assessment, it's independent of what date we have on this course. Once they've done it, they've done this unit, they've done that unit, they've done this unit, you've done it. If you can have something like 8 units aligned to that area, you can apply.
Yep, and this is general advice. We do recommend that you do clarify this with, I guess, our migration agents that are on board this session.
Yeah, because I have actually asked the ACS directly, can we get this up front? And they said, no, skills assessment are always individual. So I just wanted to sort of talk about the BIT, and this applies to the BBIS, the Bachelor of Business Information System, and also our Bachelor of Business. We operate 3 trimesters a year, so we teach for 3 trimesters a year. We have at least 3 intakes, if not more sometimes, and we have what's called an intensive mid-session intake. But that allows flexibility. So I've just given some examples of the study patterns that students might choose. The normal study pattern, like a university study pattern, would be you start in a particular term, you do 4 units, then you do 4 units, then you take a break for 1 trimester. So 1/3 of the year, you can actually be taking a break. And during that time, you can be quite legitimately working full time. You don't have to be restricted to the 40 hours per fortnight. And so the standard pattern 440, 440, 44 finishes you a little bit early. That's the normal pattern. But we have alternate patterns and we have accelerator patterns. The main thing is the student is progressing through their course. We do require students to take 8 per year, and there's various combinations of that. And obviously, if people get RPL or credit, it's going to be slightly different. But there are different patterns, and we do that to suit the student and to fit around the student's needs. And we think that flexible study pattern provides a real added advantage to a lot of students who want to do different things at different times. So we'll go
on. What we might do now is I do have a little bit of a poll for the... Hang on, where did we go? I have got a poll, which I'm just going to launch and give you the opportunity to ask some questions. Jeff was talking a little bit earlier about what majors should we have within BIT. So I'm just launching a poll, which I'll keep up there for about 2 minutes. So if you can just take the time and click through what you think we should be including as our next majors, stage, which we have. Yeah, next stage. Wow, chart's going crazy. So Ambush, if you can please monitor the Q&A, and we'll go through those ones before we hit the next exciting course, which I've just given away as well.
There are 2 questions, and I can actually address those now as well. Okay. So about the CCA or CCNA certification that's embedded in the BIT, how long does it take? It's actually embedded into the course. So there's 4 levels to a CCNA and the Cisco Academy, 1, 2, 3, and 4. They are all completely embedded into the course. In terms of the final assessment you need to do in order to achieve the CCNA certification, you need to do that, or the student needs to do that separately to the course. But you have done all the academic preparation to be ready for the course. Most of the students wait until they've been employed for maybe a year or 2 and practice it, because it is integrating all of the learnings from all of the different levels. But basically, we cover all of the academic sides, all of the theory, all of the applications to be able to do the CCNA certification, and then students can take that independently. APIC is not a CCNA certification awarding institute. It is part of the Cisco certified network of academies. So that answers that one. When are we going to bring the BIT to Brisbane? There we go. We thought we knew that was going to be a very interesting question.
Predicted that one came. Look, long story short, we did apply for the campus registration, and we had the course registration for BIT in at the same time. And we decided that we would just continue with what we had for Brisbane campus. So there will be another Cricos application extension for Brisbane for BIT and MIT. However, having said that, and Jeff and I have spoken at length about this one as well, there are certain infrastructure requirements which are needed to deliver an IT course, and there's campus improvements that need to happen in Brisbane for this particular program as well. So it is in the works. I can't give an exact date, but it's certainly on the agenda here at APIC.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the priorities for us. But we also have to be assured that the quality of the experience and everything like that is great for the students, and the infrastructure, as Stefan said, is in place. And so this, we have to go through a lot of government registration processes, CRICOS. So we have to show our staffing, our of infrastructure, our support mechanisms at every level to do that. And we're not quite there yet with the BIT, so we're launching it in Sydney and Melbourne initially, and then we will make announcements in the not too distant future about Brisbane.
So I've still got that poll active. We do have 159 out of 307 people that have responded, but just for everyone's interest, I'm not sure whether you can see the poll results up on the screen, but artificial intelligence is pretty much a runaway leader, close with software and data analytics, a very close second and third. So that's quite interesting.
And that's largely because no one knows what data engineering is, which is only a brand new sort of genre which is coming out and becoming an interesting area in its own right. But yes, that's so that's fantastic to know about what the market believes is good.
Yeah, very good market intel there. So thank you very much. So we'll continue on. We do have the we do have the Masters of IT, so we'll just kick on with the next section. So back to you, Joe.
Okay, so I think you flipped forward a few slides there, and
no.
See that, and the poll. I think you've.
Hang on, what have I done here? Stop sharing.
Oh, sure.
Okay, cool. I've stopped sharing, so you shouldn't be able to see the poll now.
Okay,
but this is the order of what has
should be on slide 9, not 16.
Where did
I don't know. You're
hang on, we've gone out of slide 9 is the BIT.
Okay, sorry. Yes, yeah.
Okay.
It is. Oh, slide 14. For some reason, someone has hidden that slide. It should be back again now. Go back. I don't know why it was hidden. It should be the next slide now, hopefully.
Hey,
there we
are. We've got another funky process chart to show you. So
absolutely, I love my process charts. You can see my background is in IT. But hopefully it makes sense. What I'm going to say, it's going to sound a little bit repetitive. The only really interesting things are that we have the MIT coming in as well. You will see its initial focus areas are very similar to what we saw in the bachelor's. It is a 12-unit, 2-year, and for those people who know what this means, non-cognitive entry, which means students can come into the course without having done a prior Bachelor of IT course. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through. 12 units, 2 years, and we provide the grounding in basic IT. And that's where, again, those items in the orange are those foundational units, which provide that almost the same, just from a same areas are covered in terms of sort of databases and information management, software design, software development, information systems, project management. That was intermediate level for the undergraduate, but it's really postgraduate level here is in the foundation. So there are 4 foundational units that cover everything you need to know to be able to tackle mid-tier and then higher tier units in the MIT. So This is then people move through to their specializations. And so in the MIT, there are 2 separate specializations because there's only 12 units. You can't cover everything in 12 units. So what we do is we have 4 units, particularly 3 specific units and 1 applied capstone project where you demonstrate your knowledge in that particular area, in his particular case, cybersecurity. And so we have some really quite advanced units, cyber defense, cybersecurity management, and also securing IT systems. And these are more of an appropriate level for postgraduate students to come in, know the basics, understand the key elements, plus that intermediate unit in there, which is key to this particular, well, all MIT specializations, and particularly the security and the networking we'll show you in a minute in terms of computer networks and security. Now, these units are bigger than a normal unit. So students take 3 of these per semester, 12 for the 2 years. So they do correspond to a little bit extra. They correspond to 150 hours of effort, if people like that, versus an undergraduate is 120 hours at APIC. So these, we do expect more within these units, but it is a 12-unit, 2-year program. And so, essentially the design is very similar. There's some slight differences. Admissions requirements, same as before. They're the same as our Masters of Project Management and Business and the same as our MBA. We have the same standards. If a student has done a Bachelor of IT or a Bachelor of Computer Science, which is very closely related to that, there is the possibility for them to not get RPL or credit, but what they can do is say, I don't necessarily need to do that database introductions, or I don't need to do that software engineering or software systems development unit. If they've done a whole degree in that area, we can then what's called do a subject substitution. So the student still ends up doing 12 units for 2 years, which is the requirement for a 2-year full-time study. It's a requirement really for the ACS accreditation, but they don't have to repeat the base level units if they can show that they have done the equivalent of the technical knowledge, and they would do higher level units. So that's what the special arrangement is for those with the previous degree in IT or computer science. Is very, very closely related.
I'll just chime in here a little bit, Jeff. Sorry for jumping in, but we're talking a little bit about the entry requirements as well. So there are entry requirements. There is a slight caveat, I guess, on the GTE. Some regions, and this will be like I was mentioning before, we'll talk about GTE in a separate forum, but there may be the need for a technical related course as part of the GTE requirement in the future, which will vary from country to country. But having said that, we've got 306 people on board at the moment, and we do have people from all over the world. So we won't have the opportunity to address every single nationality of the participants on board, but we'll reach out in an independent forum to go through the GTE requirements as well.
Absolutely. So the course is designed in one way, but the Australian government and GTE is designed, in a slightly different way. So there might be different rules for different countries in terms of what background you might need. Absolutely. Okay, so the next slide. So we have MIT in enterprise network. So this is the networking. It embeds the same sort of base level Cisco knowledge, but actually extends and goes beyond that. And actually, if anybody knows the area, it goes into a little bit of CCNP and some other aspects in the higher levels. It touches on what the world of emerging networking technologies does. And so this is a very advanced course, but we fully suspect if the students come in, they will be successful in this course if they are committed to learning. We're committed to teaching them and getting them to be successful. And so they are the 2 MIT specialization, one separately in cybersecurity and one separately in enterprise networks that we're launching at this initial launch time. Again, over time, we will build extra specializations like in the BIT. And in this case, it's a little bit easier to introduce different specializations just because of the sheer number of units. And elsewhere, when I've been involved in other course designs, I was able to be very flexible and over time built a range of different specializations that address the market need at the particular time. So we fully see this one being able to develop as time goes by. Again, very similar to the last one, we have a normal pattern, alternate patterns, accelerator patterns, except in this case, because it is a 12-unit, 2-year program, the students only have to do 6 units in a year. And so there are variations. So you can accelerate much faster, or you can take a little bit more time and study in all our trimesters, or you can take that semester off in the middle of your course if you so deem wanting to do it. So very similar. It's just that because the units are only 3 are required, remember they are a little bit bigger than the workload is, more assignments and more time and more effort is going to be put into those units. But nevertheless, there is the same sort of ideas. And we want to provide that flexible experience to students.
Just a friendly reminder again that we do have the Q&A available. So if you do have any questions, please pop them in there and we'll address them throughout the session. So, over to me, I guess. So we've got...
someone's already answered this one. Said Brisbane's missing, but...
Okay, we must have put that slide up early. But Sydney and Melbourne at this particular point, somebody's obviously done their Google search on the Cricos website. BIT from the June T2 intake, so the 14th of June, if my memory is correct, and October intake. Given the proximity, offshore, maybe for June, but you'd need to get your paperwork in pretty much today or early next week. MIT, July T2 intensive, just because of the I guess it's more of an independent subject, which Jeff was talking about earlier, than the BBIS, which we've got. And then we've also got the October intake. Happy to announce, can't confirm, but I'll ask Harmeet to do so. Can you please check on the apply.eca.edu.au platform, Harmeet, to see whether this has been updated already? It was scheduled to go to update around this time. Also, the marketing collateral, we should have the marketing collateral, the course guides that you see on either side of the of this graphic here, as well as some of the pictures, so the pre-approved marketing collateral that'll be on agents.eca.edu.au. So, wow, Dr. O'Day, welcome. Sorry, I should have put a shout out to you earlier than now. But
thank you.
But we do have, as you can see, we have got a very dynamic and diverse academic team. So I'll just pass the floor to O'Day for a little bit of an introduction. We've heard plenty from Jeff already, but over to you, Dr. O'Day.
Hi everyone, I am Dr. O'Day. I'm the head of discipline for Bachelor of Business Information System, and will be for MIT and BIT as well. And I complete PhD in information technology in Israel National University here in Australia. I'm very keen in IT, and I like IT when I was young, and that's why I am progressing in this area. And here is the team for Bachelor of Business Information System. We have here Associate Professor Dr. Abir, and Nikta, and Alex, Thaer, and definitely we have Associate Professor Dr. Jeffrey with us here. And and this is our team's very expert in IT. very expert in and keen in research as well, and take care of all the details and the students learning and teaching. Back to you, Stefan, and I'm looking for any question.
I think just to let you know, because we've got the multiple sites as well. Dr. O'Day is based at the Sydney site here in Parramatta. So he's
and just to add a few things more to this is only a snapshot of some of the staff. We have invested heavily in bringing highly qualified people on board to teach initially in the Bachelor of Business Information System, but also to develop our materials. And so Dr. Thaher developed some really good units in data science area and data analytics, which are in the BBIS, and also he's developing some of the units within the MBA and the MIT. Abia has developed the final stage projects for us, and is an expert. She's an absolutely expert researcher and a fantastic teacher, and we're lucky to have her on board. Nectar developed an e-commerce unit for our Bachelor of Business Information Systems. These are all electives. All the other units within the BBIS, data analytics, e-commerce, and a whole lot of range of other managing information systems are all electives that students can take also in the BIT. But this is just a fraction really of the staff, but it was just showing you a snapshot of where we are. We're growing, we're serious, and we've got a fantastic academic team.
Okay, the APIC approach.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit really quickly about the way APIC presents itself, the way we go about teaching. We very much want people to build skills as well as knowledge. And so it really is an applied and practical approach. O'Day has spent a lot of time developing wonderful practical work. The students really love the practicals that are associated with all of the IT units. We spend a lot of time developing really appropriate approaches and practicals, like the latest cloud computing has AWS built into it. That's Amazon Web Services practical. We know about the Cisco stuff, all built in that. And so we want to look at authentic assessments. We do have some exams, and a lot of other universities just run a couple of assignments where you do some research and then one final exam, and that's about it. That really is not how we operate. We operate on building skills, building practical work, doing a case study, doing some research, doing a report, but answering some questions, but through showing us that you can actually build something and do something. So again, authentic assessments, and that's backed up by a wonderful comprehensive online learning system we'll talk a little bit more about. I'm going to skip very quickly through the next couple of slides, but I think they are a point of difference between APIC, and to say this is everywhere from the orientation until ultimately we build the foundations. I've talked about this. We explore really advanced topics, and then we implement this applied project at the end, this industry relevant applied project. All the way through, we are really supporting the students to do learning of the theory, but applying their knowledge, build and apply case studies, build their critical reasoning and their ability to communicate all through this course. And theory is really important, and we definitely build industry best practices and theory and into the course, but how do you apply that and demonstrate to us that you can apply it is a key part of it. I think we have really good classroom engagement. We have a wonderful system. I could talk a whole seminar on this one, and we're working on enhancing this more and more and more as we go through. In terms of our student feedback, you'll see in a minute, a lot of the new units we developed are also having incredibly good feedback, but these are just a capture of some of the feedback we're getting about the teachers, and ultimately I'll show you also about the units that we've been building over the last couple of years in the BBIS, and I fully expect this will be in the BIT, MIT, because it's across all of our programs. So the students absolutely believe our teachers are committed, and they are committed. Some of them are active researchers, but they are more committed to the classroom environment than they are to only their research. And that's a really important point, that our staff want to see students being successful and give everything to helping them build their knowledge. And so the units have got great feedback. clear, concise, our learning management system. You can read all through them, but I was absolutely blown away. When I started as the Associate Dean, the first semester, that was the first semester last year, I came in and I wanted to look at every comment the students were making, and I was blown away with this sampling. And to be honest, I remember my one of my heads of discipline saying, I have no negative comments at all to even look at. And so it was a matter of really good feedback from the students. So yeah, so that's, I think the APIC experience is one of authentic assessments. We give a learning program which is gradual to building up to the advanced knowledge you need, and teachers that want to be there, and students that really enjoy the experience, particularly the practical based parts of the course. They really love it.
Okay, so moving on to the next one. So data analytics, I think that's the thing for us at the moment. So I'm going to put up another poll and I'll pause for about a minute and a half to allow you to go through and answer this one. And just a friendly reminder as well that we do have the Q&A available. So if you do have any questions for Jeff, O'Day, Sapna, Ambuj or Harmeet, we are ready to go. So
I suspect this poll will be very similar to the last, but this is the MIT we're looking at, a master's program. Is that different to a bachelor's? That's the big question.
Fully plagiarized, copy and paste. There's 3 questions on this one. So if you can take the time to take if you can please take the time to answer the poll. Artificial intelligence at 100% because one person answered. So if you've got any questions, please do the Q&A, which is being okay. Not sure if you guys can actually see the poll going here, but it's very interesting to see.
We can't see the results, we can just see the questions at this stage, which is fine, because you can reveal or read them out later on.
Look, just a contemporary update here, Jeff. It's very similar results to the first one. So
not unexpected.
Yeah.
And again, if you've got any questions on the program, specializations or life at APIC, look, please put the questions in. This is a great opportunity with some of the academic team, O'Day and myself, able to address those.
And just reinforcing again, just the magic number for the MIT is a 12-unit Masters of IT and non-cognitive background, although they may be some technical GTE requirements required for the GTE assessment.
I have a really good question here about the ACS plans for accreditation of the MIT. As we talked about for the BIT and the BBIS, we fully intend to have that accredited. The MIT has been built in a way that is going to be accreditable by the ACS. And so, yes, we will be doing that in 2023 as well at the earliest opportunity. It is very key to APIC that we are addressing the industry needs and getting accreditation and us meeting all of those requirements. And so, yes, we fully intend to do it. And the MIT has been built with that in mind.
Yep. And to get the CRICOS in the first place, you need to build the course to the industry standard, which is ACS in this case. I'll throw over to Harmeet for this one. How many backlogs accepted at APIC?
For a 3-year bachelor's, we will accept a total of 8 backlogs. For a 4-year bachelor's, 10 backlogs. That's the maximum that we will do.
Okay, cool. We've had some students seeking advanced standing towards MIT after the completion of BIT, and a few providers do offer that as well. What is the scenario for APIC on advanced standing. I believe this one is, most providers will have a 16-unit Masters of IT, which creates a different scenario. We're a 12-unit Masters of IT, non-cognitive background, which doesn't leave particularly much scope for credit going from the bachelor's into the master's.
Absolutely. And what some other people design it, say the first 4 units are the foundational units, and they're optional if you have done it. That was part of the design decision, was not to go that route, because we can offer the 12 units to both cognitive and non-cognitive, i.e. those that have a Bachelor of IT. What we will do, as I mentioned before, is we will substitute out the lower level foundational units that, rather than repeat databases, systems analysis, project management. If the student can show that they have done it, we will undertake equivalent of a credit assessment and to do a subject substitution, so you can take a higher level IT unit instead. So we have students still do 12 units over the 2 years, whereas it's not advanced standing, but it's recognition of prior learning in a different way.
So we've got another question here. What about married couples applying together on a master's course? This is assessed on a case-by-case basis. And there are many different factors there, and it varies from country to country. Generally speaking, length of marriage is very important for this one. Also, variations between, I guess, consistency between qualifications as well is one of those GTE things that comes into question. We've got somebody anonymous that sent an email. That's not very helpful. What are the approximate fees for BIT and MIT? Very good question. I think you're one slide ahead. Very good there. Just looking at any other questions.
Stephen, here I would just ask Jeff if he can clarify when we're looking at entry requirements for students who are coming from non-cognitive backgrounds. So what would be the component of the non-cognitive backgrounds that you would accept for MIT? Because that question will come probably later.
Yeah. So as we have 2 different answers to this, depending on which country you're in. If you're in Australia, a bachelor's from any area will suffice because there's no visa issues. Okay. So if you're a level 1 country, you're going to have a different answer. If you're a level 2 country, you're going to have a different answer. Level 3 comes down to GTE. Typically,
let's say level 3.
Yeah. Typically, you'll have to have a technical background to be able to get past and get through the GTE. So engineering or some science or something like that, which is regarded as technical in nature. But that is a GTE question and not an academic question.
And typically there it depends on the background, I guess, to the student technical background. And it comes down to the background as well. The big variation there, as we know, Harmeet, is the interpretation of immigration at the other side.
Yes.
Where we can't discount that. So if the students come from, I don't know, a Bachelor of Early Childhood or whatever from India going into a Masters of IT, immigration's probably going to be asking questions there. So it becomes, it's kind of answering the question without answering the question. I know. Depends.
We are like in different shades of gray here.
Yeah.
But it's not an academic question.
Yeah, I understand that. But from the academy, I purposely asked in this forum because this is something which we are going to be facing later on. So
absolutely,
it's all right. So it has to come.
Clear rules, clear flow charts, clear rules. You know, I love flow charts. I like to see them, but that's not something I actually get directly involved in. So I'll show that to our admissions partners.
Yeah. So I wanted everybody to know that it's going to be within the realm of GTE, which where we will need to have a clear progression or the intent and a natural progression of study as well.
Yep. So Umair's
Thank you, Jeff.
asked what's the maximum amount of helicopters that students can be added for MIT or BIT. Okay, depends on the country, but Umair, I think, is from Pakistan, which would be a maximum of 12 weeks of helicopters. Okay, addressing the...
There's a really good question here about any package courses offering for not meeting BIT entry requirements directly. The BIT has exactly the same entry requirements as the BBIS and the Bachelor of Business. And so there are pathways and recognised pathways through ECA College, or indeed other colleges and other places, or indeed our own diploma of business information systems will act as a pathway into the BIT.
That, once again, is subject to GTE and all that kind of stuff behind the scenes. So,
yes.
Yes. So addressing a question that came up earlier, what's the price? So for the bachelor program, it's pretty simple. 7,880 for the first per semester for the first year, which reverts to second year fees of $6,000 per semester, which is the same for the third. For the master's programs, $8,985 per semester, which comes out to $35,940, which incorporates a $4,000 scholarship. Okay, so very competitive fees. Undergraduate entry requirements, IELTS 6.0, no band lower than 5.5 in speaking, and I can't see the other one because you guys are sitting on top of it. Is it listening and speaking?
Writing and speaking.
Writing and speaking, sorry. I've just got you guys sitting on top of that particular section of the screen. We do accept the other tests which immigration accept. So TOEFL and PTE. TOEFL, PTE, Cambridge are the typical ones that come up. Every country will have a slightly different ELICOS pathway allowable as well. Academic successful completion of year 12 or equivalent. Typically for undergraduate programs, we'll be looking for the most recent pass out there, but every country will have a slightly different requirement. So your account manager will be reaching out individually. And all of this is subject to GTE. Master's entry requirements, IELTS 6.5, no band lower than 6 in writing and speaking, and then the PTE or equivalent. Academic, bachelor degree or higher. However, like we said, the IT will require a technical background from overseas from some countries. Okay, we've already done that poll, so we'll skip through here. I do have a video. And one of the things that we were talking about earlier throughout this session was employability. ECA has launched a new program called ECA Employability. Employability Advantage. So it is a new thing. All students within the ECA group will have access to this. It will mention a specific fee in this particular program. However, that fee is actually waived for our internal students.
So, you're keen on getting a career break, but you're wondering, do my skills match up with the job I want? Employability Advantage can help you test your skills in over 10 career areas, then help you upskill. Build your resume with our artificial intelligence tool and prepare for your interview with our interview simulation tool. All this with Employability Advantage. Let's get started. Simply sign up with your Google email. It's that easy and you're logged in. Pick a plan that suits your need. Free, upskill, or project-based. Our free plan is a great place to start. You get access to a very detailed skills diagnostic assessment for your career choice. This takes just 40 minutes to complete and you get your results instantly. Our upskill plan gets you access to curated learning paths on LinkedIn Learning to help you build on the skill gap areas from your diagnostic assessment. Complete learning paths, build your skills, add digital proof of completion badges to your profile and resume. You also have access to certification prep work. Our upskill plan also gives you access to an artificial intelligence-based resume builder tool, as well as a video interview simulation tool. In addition to all the features of our upskill plan, our project-based plan gives you access to a 3-week virtual internship with an Australian organisation, exposure to business outcomes, and digital certificates to boost your profile. Select your career choice from over 10 career options. Some career areas will have more detailed choices. Once you make a choice, simply click Go to start your diagnostic assessment. Each diagnostic assessment is made up of 4 tests, 10 minutes each, so 40 minutes in total. This is not an exam, but rather an assessment of your skills to see what you know and what you don't. On completion, click Finish and you will receive your results to download instantly. Get your results, know your skills gap. If you have selected an upskill plan, you now have access to tech and smart skills, curated learning paths on LinkedIn Learning. All you need to do is click on Employability Advantage and select a tag for the skills you wish to build. Then, just select the learning path to get started with your skill building. You can also select a skill to find your learning path. Gaining certifications can add immense value to your profile, so go ahead, click Certifications, then simply pick the course to help get you there. If you have selected project-based as your plan choice, you also get access to the project-based experiential learning. Get to work on a 3-week real-world project with an Australian organisation in teams of 5 with students from universities in Australia and Asia. Collaborate, coordinate, and problem solve to work on solutions with mentor support over the Practera platform. Just click the link, complete the form, and receive a callback to have your slot booked in. How often have you struggled with putting together your resume? You think you have it, but then does your resume address the job ad or role you plan to apply for? Now you can use the AI tool to help you build the right bullet points and use targeted words to improve your chances of selection. Real-time content analysis from Resi also identifies content errors so you can fix them. The Resi score also rates your resume for format and content, showing you where to make key improvements. Get rid of your interview fright by practicing with our interview simulation tool. After all, practice makes perfect. Start with selecting your industry, then pick a position or role that closely matches what you are interviewing for. Set up your experience level and length of the interview. 20 minutes works best for most. Select your questions mix, an equal mix of behavioural and technical questions, or for more specialised roles, a higher technical skew. Then get started with your simulated interview. Share your interview with other professionals to get feedback on how you did. Getting your career started needs more than just a university degree. It needs you to have the right skills, certifications, and even practical experience. Do you have the skills for the job you're after? Take the skills test today, know your skill gap, then simply upskill. Get started with Employability Advantage today.
Okay, I think this just reinforces the results of the polls that we had earlier with the artificial intelligence miles in front. So very cool platform for the students to use, and everyone will have, all the students within the ECA group will have access to this particular service. So we'll just go back to the Q&A because I believe that would have finished off the formal part of the proceedings, and I'd just like to introduce Harmeet, Sapna, and Ambush. So if you can just, guys, if you can just introduce yourself, that'd be wonderful. Harmeet?
Hi, I'm Harmeet. I'm based in India, and I'm looking after the entire recruitment part from the subcontinent, and Sapna is part of my team in Kathmandu. So over to you, Sapna.
Hello everyone. So this is Sapna, and I'm the International Recruitment Manager for the Higher Ed. So I'm based in Nepal, so I'll be your key person. If you have any doubts or any issues regarding APIC and the new courses, so you can directly contact me and I'll be there for you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ambuj. I'm based here in Sydney. I work very closely with Stephen. Would be very happy to serve you. I have been meeting many of you and would continue to look after your queries. I have also been answering all the Q&As as of now. So we have got the familiarity of each other. If you have further questions, please continue to post them because I'm still busy answering them.
Okay, any questions on the Q&A? Any questions for Jeff and O'Day?
There was an interesting one that was actually in the chat and not in the questions and A, but that's fine. It was basically, we talked about artificial intelligence, and one of the learned audience, I'll say that, pointed out, what about machine learning?
Machine learning.
Interestingly, when I said to Stefan, we need to write AI, and I started typing out machine learning, we just said, I'll just put it under AI, but it would be AI and machine learning that we would be looking at, and it's one of our serious choices for the near future.
Yeah, and look, the list which Jeff and I compiled before, pretty much the top 5 emerging IT things that are popping up all over the place in various reports as well. So we do thank you for coming on board and actually providing that information about the about those majors as well. So that that's a valuable data for us to take back in terms of course development to I guess tweak those courses and those the fancy flow charts that Jeff had for the future requirements as well. So any other questions in the Q&A? Got Sapna putting in her, anyone that's looking at, if anyone's looking for Sapna's contact details, they've just popped up in the chat as well. Harmeet, the question that I asked before, was the information available in the platform?
No, it's not. No, it's not come in as yet.
Okay, I will follow up.
Should be coming up anytime. Yep.
Okay, no worries.
So one of the audience was saying about the website doesn't contain these courses. We've had a moratorium until today that we could not publicize the course, and so they will go up immediately after this webinar completes.
Yeah, so yeah, that was a big part of it. Yes. That was a big part of it because we wanted the webinar to actually launch this particular program, which I believe at the peak was 316 people on board. So lots of people informed. So you've got the early preview, and the information will progressively go out on the websites and the various platforms around the place as well. So thank you for your time. We'll just pause here for maybe 30 seconds just to see if there's any other questions that pop up. And then we'll, if there's no further questions, we'll call it a day.
I'd be interested to know whether anybody on the call, whether I've met them, because I've had a number of, from a different institution, a different situation. I've had multiple trips to Nepal and multiple trips to India where I've met with lots and lots of different agents over the years. So I'm interested whether I've met anybody previously.
I could set up a poll for that if you want. No, I won't do that. But okay, entry requirements we went through. Okay, so thank you very much for your time. This will be the first of many sessions throughout the year, but obviously with the content that we had in terms of being able to present this course from the 20th of April, here we are, and thank you very much for your time. Special thanks to Jeff and O'Day for coming on and giving their valuable time to assist the recruitment team as well. So thank you very much, and coffees are on me next time we catch up.
That's fine, and we're looking forward to having lots of really excited students join the new program, and I think we've got lots of great exciting things set for them to do over the next couple of years, and so they can become, like me and like O'Day, professionals in IT in the future.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, thank you, and thanks for coming on board. And a copy of this webinar will be available shortly as well. So this, as I said, this was being recorded, and thank you very much. Have a good evening or happy lunchtime wherever you may be. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining.
Bye.
Bye-bye.